What's good, YouTube? One of the questions I get asked a lot is, why do I not affiliate myself with other activists? And notice how I put the quotations on activists. Simply put, much like there's a lot of dirty cops and corrupt law enforcement officers, right? There's also many hypocritical activists. And I don't know, I choose not to want to be associated, connected with in any way with any of those individuals. And this video is not about naming names, even though I could do that, you know what I mean? But I'm choosing the higher road. And it's not about really, calling anyone out in particular. It's more about the fact that there are just individuals who claim, I think this is the best way I could say it, I could explain it, claim to, stand for something, but in reality they don't. And not to contradict myself, because I just said I wouldn't name any names, and I meant more like individual names, of so-called activists out here throughout the country. And but again, I'm not going to make this video about that, but I will name one name of a group, a so-called movement. Again, I'm using the quotations there. And a lot of you that follow me and have followed this channel and my blog for a while already know that I've been very outspoken against Black Lives Matter. And for their hypocrisy, for their double standards. And it's basically just something that I have, a complete disgust for. The fact that, these so-called movements and so-called groups like Black Lives Matter, who by the name itself, Black Lives Matter, claim to be advocates, if you will, for, black folks in this country, especially. And but only when those black folks are killed by police. In other words, you don't see these groups like Black Lives Matter protesting and denouncing the senseless black on black violence that exists in this country. You certainly don't see them protesting or denouncing Chicago's 700 plus murder count every year. And here in Rochester, New York, where I'm from, those of you who are from here, those of you who have followed my blog, perhaps you'll remember incidents like a massacre that there was, a drive-by shooting outside a Boys and Girls Club on Rochester, New York's west side a couple of years ago. You see the little photo op, a couple of people lighting candles, holding hands, saying a few words, and then that's it. You know what I mean? More of a show for the cameras, and but no real outrage, no genuine angst, so to speak, right? Like you see whenever um, a black person is killed by a cop, especially a white cop. Um, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, just to make sure that the message gets out there, that as a Latino and as the father of two African American and Latino children, um, my concern as a father is more not that a cop will hurt or kill, right? Let's just put it out there. One of my children, but that you know a black youth, um, a Latino youth, right, um, will hurt or kill one of my kids. And that is my concern as a father. That comes from a Latino. That comes from someone who grew up in one of the roughest areas of Rochester, New York. Rochester's West Side, ghost town. And I'm just being honest. I mean, and that's all you'll get on this channel from me. Is I'm not gonna, mince words. I'm not going to, beat around the bush. There is and it's kind of crazy that a Latino, not crazy, but it's just sad that it takes a Latino to call this out when more and more black folks should be doing what I'm doing now, or should be saying as follows. There is a serious problem with, especially, it exists in the Latino community, but especially within the black community, there is a serious problem, especially among the youth, where there is a blatant lack of respect for human life. And what do I mean by that? Well, just what it says. Within the black community, there exists a very serious problem where, most young men of color, okay, don't value life. And it's complex, and obviously I can't cover it in just in this video right here, right? But I will say this. If someone doesn't value or respect their own life, right, how can they possibly value or respect someone else's life? Think about that. And one big thing that I've noticed myself growing up, I was fortunate enough to have both my parents, growing up, but I had many friends that didn't. And usually the case, especially within the black communities across this country, is that the mother is there, usually, sometimes she's not either, but the father in many cases is not. So it's a problem that starts, in the home, where a lot of young black men, are raised without that father figure, right? Without that role model. So they emulate other lost black youths who have turned to crime, who have turned to selling drugs, for example, right? And that's why it saddens me that, in other words, they don't have that role model. And that's why it saddens me that hip-hop, a culture and a music which I was raised on and which I love, has sold out. And all you see is, the perpetuating of that image of misogynist lyrics, the selling drugs, and killing. That's all you see, you know what I mean? And that's all you hear. So I know I've gone on a little long here with the video, but basically, just wanted to clear that up, why I basically don't affiliate myself with any groups, and why basically I'm a one-man show. Peace.